Hi, I'm Nick Bennett. I work in the Research and Development Department at Laguna Tools, and today I'm going to introduce an alternative controller called WinCNC and also walk you through a basic cutting tutorial using the new controller. Now, this is the controller our customers are used to, and I want to introduce the alternative controller, which is WinCNC. The best way to learn a new machine is to actually use it to make some cuts. So I picked out a biohazard sign because I like the look. Now to do this, we first have to mock it up in Aspire, which is a CAD program. And then we're gonna take that G-code, put it into our WinCNC controller and actually do some cuts. All right, now let's move over to Aspire and see what the design looks like. All right, so taking a look at our design in Aspire, this is the two-dimensional drawing. So that's done. Now all I need to do is set my tool path. I already did. I'm using a V-carve tool path, a 1/2 inch V-bit, 90-degree V-bit. Now, we can preview the cut in Aspire just to see what it looks like. So, what you see in Aspire is usually what you get, so this is going to be our finished product. Okay, so now that we saved our tool path, we can move over into WinCNC and actually prep our machine for cutting. So once you have your tool path saved, you can go ahead and bring it into the WinCNC controller. Now to do that, you just go File, Open, and find the file wherever you saved it. I saved it right here on my desktop. All right, and you should see it come into the viewer window down here in the bottom left. And you can make sure it's the right dimensions. What I like to do is, you see this red dot right here, this is at your actual spindle location. Now, I like to go around the perimeter of my cut path and make sure it's gonna fit on my material before I actually even start cutting. So to do that, let's go ahead and power up our machine. Okay, we loaded our program, we powered our machine. Now, if your machine was powered off, the first thing you wanna do is C-comb. Now with the WinCNC controller, it's really easy. The button's called C-comb. You just press it and the machine will automatically home itself. Okay, so we just homed our machine, and normally in the axis window here, the XYZ should be zeroed out, but as you see here, there's these green indicator boxes, and these mean they're saved work coordinates, which is what you see right now. Now to get rid of these, all you have to do is come down here and hit clear. Then you see X and Y go back to 0, which is our machine coordinates. But we also have this blue box here, which I'll explain a little later. But to clear that, you just do a G49 code in the command line. Execute that, it clears 0. So now all our axes are zeroed out. Once we home our machine, the next step to cutting is to set our work coordinates. We need to tell our machine where our new X0, our Y0, and our Z0 is going to be. Now, one additional feature WinCNC has that I really like is that we could set a lower boundary Z that acts as kind of a safety net. Your spindle won't drill below that point. So if you don't want to damage your table or cut through your spoil board, whatever the reason may be, your spindle won't pass it. Now, as for the regular Z0, I'm just gonna put that point right on top of my material. And the XY coordinates I want in the bottom left corner. Then once I set all those, we're ready to start cutting. I'm gonna use the keyboard controls to jog my machine over to the bottom left corner of my material. Kind of just gotta eye it. You might want to lower the spindle down a little bit so you can line it up a little better. Doesn't have to be perfect, but close. That looks good. So I position my spindle, and all I have to do over here in the user interface is click Set XY. And then you'll see these green boxes come up on the right of the coordinates. And that means your work coordinates are set. Now, next step is to set our Z coordinates. Now, there's an order if you want to set your your lower Z limit, you have to do these in order. So starting with my measure Z here, just position your spindle over your spoil board, not your material, pretty much your absolute boundary that you don't want to cut past. Now, your machine may be different. This machine happens to have a touch-off pad. So go ahead and line that up. And then all you have to do over here is click measure Z. The spindle will automatically lower down. You just gotta line it up as it goes. There we go. And then if you did it correctly, you'll see a blue box which indicates you set that lower boundary. Now we still need our Z work coordinates, so that's gonna be on top of our material. So just gonna use the keyboard to jog over the top. If your material's flat, it doesn't really matter which spot you pick. Now, I'm just gonna lower the spindle a little lower to speed things up. Now, what I should have mentioned before is you always wanna double check to make sure your touchpad or your touch-off switch is working properly, which is a nice feature in WinCNC because we have feedback indicators right here. So right now you see the TTO switch, the tool touch-off switch, has a red indication, which means it's not being triggered. So to test it, you just want to touch it to the bottom of your tool, and then the indicator should go green. Do it a few times. Okay, we know it works, so we can safely lower our spindle down and double check this. Okay, so all you have to do over here once you line it up is click touch top. Now that's going to set our Z0 coordinate at the top of the material. Now, before I hit start and start actually cutting, I like to utilize one of the features WinCNC has that is normally not offered on other controllers. So if you come take a look at the viewer window, you can see this red dot here, which indicates our spindle position in our work coordinates. So what I like to do is jog the machine around the perimeter of whatever we're cutting to make sure we're going to stay on the material and to make sure we clear any obstacles in the spindle's path. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And once you do that, you can be pretty sure you're safe to cut. All right, so next step is now it doesn't really matter where you click start, it doesn't matter of the spindle position. You can click start anywhere and the spindle will automatically move back, but I like to just move it back to my 0 coordinates. I'm just gonna type in a G-code command, X0, Y0, and that'll move my machine to the bottom left corner. And I think we're ready to start cutting. So there's one last preliminary check I like to do before I start executing code, and that's to simulate the G-code. Now, WinCNC offers this simulation, runs through all your G-code and looks for errors. And as you can see here, I simulated 1,859 lines with no error. Okay, we set our work coordinates, checked our cut perimeter, simulated the code. I think we're finally ready to start cutting. So all you have to do is come up here, make sure your file path is in the command line, and then hit this little start button. You should probably put on some safety glasses too. That's always a good thing. Also, you want to double check, make sure your spindle cooling's working. My water pump's running, so. Oh, also, normally you'd want to use a dust cover. This is the one that comes with the machine. So normally you put this on and then you'd hook a vacuum hose here, but we want to show the cutting. So we're going to leave it off, and we're just cutting kind of a plastic. So there's not going to be too much dust in the air. Okay, so this is the point where you get ready. Keep your hand on the emergency stop switch in case something goes terribly wrong, and run your code. So spindle's gonna warm up. spinning at 16,000 RPM. Here we go, first cut. Now if we look in the viewer window, the WinCNC controller, we can see the spindle fall in the cut path. So you can kind of monitor where it is in the cut, what's left to cut, and what's been cut. All right, we finished cutting, so let's take a look at our finished product. It's a pretty cool biohazard sign for very little work. This started as a bitmap image off Google that I threw into Aspire, that I threw into WinCNC, and nice project. I'd like to see someone cut that out by hand. Now, we got little imperfections here. That's probably just the thickness of material, or my spoil board's a little off, but that's why you do test cuts, which is what this was, but not bad for a first cut. Now you can cut that out, hang it up, pretty cool. Thanks for watching our video. I hope you enjoyed this simple cutting tutorial and learned something about the WinCNC controller. If you want more information, visit our website at www.lagunatools.com, or you can call us toll free at 1-800-234-1976. Thank you.